Assalamu alaikum. It's a big privilege to be here this evening. If you stand in Trafalgar Square and look down Whitehall, there, right in front of you, is a large statue of King Charles I. He was executed in 1649, a few hundred meters away, and England became a republic for a very short time. Then the monarchy was restored, and Charles II, his son, became king. The statue has a large stone plinth below it, and on it there is one word: remember. Remember what happened, and never let it happen again. I think the word remember in that place is simply a threat and nothing more. But as I understand it as a Christian, Ramadan is a very different sort of remembering as you call to mind and celebrate with joy the gift of the Holy Quran to the Prophet. I'm not sure which impresses me more, the commitment of Muslims all around the world to the fast in daylight hours for the whole of the next month, or the joy of the iftar celebration each evening when the sun has set, and which I'm privileged to share this evening. We really have nothing quite like it in the Christian community. There's been another important piece of remembering this week. The Queen, the Prime Minister, the Archbishop of Canterbury met just off the M25, only a few miles from here, at the side of the Thames, to remember the agreement between the barons and King John that was reached there on Runnymede 800 years ago this Tuesday. Magna Carta. It was drawn up by the Archbishop of Canterbury, and it was the first big check by the people of England on the power of the ruler. It wasn't perfect, and only a few weeks later, all parties involved had washed their hands of it. It only affected about 10% of the population, and the 90 or so clauses are in there did almost nothing to protect the rights of women. But both kings and barons came back to it and revised it several times. 80 years later, in its final version, it had become accepted as the foundation of law and government here in England. You can go and see, I think, now the first edition and the second editions in the British Library next door to St Pancras Station. That's the second edition. I'm not quite sure where that's being unveiled. Our parliamentary government really started that day on Runnymede. Magna Carta also established the principle that the king could not simply pile one tax after another on the country without agreement. And Magna Carta also established the principle that all of us are entitled to a fair trial under the law. We will sell to no man, it said, neither will we deny or defer any man justice or right. Lord Denning, one of the greatest of our 20th century judges, said, Magna Carta is the greatest constitutional document of all time, and the foundation of the freedom of the individual against the arbitrary authority of rulers. As the British Empire came to an end in America over 200 years ago, in many countries in Africa, even I think in South Asia, Magna Carta was often a major influence in the fight for freedom. Magna Carta is often spoken about as the higher law. Higher because it's based on moral and ethical standards which are absolute and cannot be overthrown by any government. Those standards emerged in a Christian context, but they are universal and shared, I believe, by both Muslims and Christians. Justice, freedom, and mercy. That's why Magna Carta is very important for all of us today. The Universal Declaration of Human Rights, the European Convention on Human Rights, the Human Rights Act here in 1998, all these owe so much to Magna Carta, and all of them are now at the top of the political agenda here in Britain, and many of us feel that they are under threat as we struggle in this very complex world to balance the need for security of the state against the freedom of the citizen. Magna Carta is part of the heritage of us all here, whether our families have been here for 1,000 years or 50. I thank God for all the freedom I enjoy here, and I pray that the spirit of Runnymede 800 years ago will still be alive here in Britain in 800 years' time. It's a very precious but very fragile heritage. Just one or two more slides. King John, at least it might be. And the next one, I've just got one more. Yes, the Queen coming down the Thames towards Runnymede last Tuesday. Goodness knows what sort of boat she's in. And you can just see Prince Philip there at the top. Thank you very much.